Everything I'm doing with my life right now has been the result of taking many small steps. I remember being in therapy when I was around maybe 26. I was chatting with my therapist at the end of a session, and we were just making small talk. I mentioned that I wanted to do something in my life that involves sex with my work. I knew there was something in sexuality that I'd always been drawn to. At that time, I was beginning to explore yoga. Maybe the thought of becoming a teacher was in my mind, but for sure not connecting the dots that yoga and sex would have any connection. So I always knew that there was a curiosity there that this could be something I might want to do with my life, but not an actualization of what that looks like or how to do that or even what to call it. I tell a story in this podcast episode about another therapist I had about 4 years after the first one I mentioned, so different person, telling me to take small steps in my life to find joy on my own and to be able to find things that excite me. Part of that was sex. Getting to this place where I'm comfortable with my sexuality and my body has actually taken a lot of work. When I chat with potential clients, sometimes they will ask me how long it will take to get to that place. Everyone is different, and maybe another practice will be better for you. But what I do know is that by doing nothing, you're not going to get further ahead. So by getting curious and figuring out how you can take those small steps into your sexuality, you will learn what you like and what you dislike, and that's all important knowledge. In this episode, I chat with my friend Kevin, a coach working with queer men, about working through that shame to accept ourselves and our bodies and sexuality. I'm really excited for you to hear this conversation because we talk quite openly about what it's like exploring sex work ourselves and how to be a support for other people while also staying true to ourselves. This is Mask Off for Mask, and I'm Vance. Hey, Kevin, how's it going?
I'm good. Thank you for this time. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we did. Well, we would have met. I mean, God, when was that? Like, was that still in the pandemic that we virtually met and
I think so. I think it
recorded
was
a
like
podcast episode?
2021. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
What would you say if you think back to then beginning of the pandemic or like when we first talked? It seems like your life, your career has changed quite a bit, or you've definitely been a lot more out there and putting yourself out there. How does that feel?
Yeah. It feels really good, and it's just interesting to think back to that time, like that. So it's been like 4 years ago since the last time that we connected. Just thinking back to then, 4 years is a decent amount of time, but it's also not like that's relatively short. But how much things have changed has been really wild. At that time, I was more so like in the infancy of my coaching work. OnlyFans, just for fans, like the content side was completely separate, something that I was like really hiding and doing more so for like personal healing, just to work through, because I initially started it to kind of take my own ownership back over just, some like sexual assault and crappy situations like that. So it was a very,
Okay,
good.
Oh, I was going to say before you go too far into it, I want you to explain at least what you do. So you're a therapist, right? You're a psychotherapist?
So my background is in counseling and therapy. So I started in the therapy world, and then I've adjusted and morphed into coaching. And so I have my own coaching practice. I've been doing coaching for on my own for like the past 6 years or so.
And so were you doing OnlyFans and that kind of stuff then 4 years ago too? Or is that a newer thing?
Yeah. So I ended counseling and therapy about 6 years ago, and that's why I started coaching on my own. And then a couple years into that, just on my personal side, is when I started doing OnlyFans and Just for Fans. And so it was really, two different worlds. I had my coaching work, and then this was me figuring out myself. And then, yeah, just as I kept going with it, the world just started to kind of blend together a bit more, where I saw like how helpful the content creation was for myself, but then also just the approach that I started to take, how that became really helpful for the people who were connecting with it. And so the paths just kind of merged together. And so now it's all part of itself, which is really cool. So it's been an interesting ride, but I'm so grateful for it. A lot of growth along the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in your coaching work, you talk a lot about overcoming shame in your sexuality. So was that the reason why you started OnlyFans then for yourself? That was the personal reason?
Yeah. So the very initial reason was like, yeah, there were three or four like really difficult sexual experiences that I had just throughout life itself that were really like just sticking around. Uh, like my very first sexual experience, back in uh, school, high school, like I couldn't get over that. Then, there were some other ones that happened along the way, and it just kept like I just felt stuck and to a point where like I wouldn't allow myself to be sexual in any way. Like I just kind of like shut that side of myself off. And like I was okay with it. It was fine because it was just something, it was a choice that I made, and I didn't think that like sex was important or added any value into my life. And then like the more that I like just sat with it and did some therapy work, some coaching work of my own, I just started to see that like I something that was once really important to me became something that wasn't mine anymore. And so I started to look at those ways of like, okay, how can I start to enter back into the sexual world like in a safe way? And so for me, I don't know why, but something that's really, really helpful for me is just to go balls to the wall. So like even like when I came out for the first time, like it was like 2015. Instagram was just starting, and just one night I just posted like a video to my Instagram page and just said like, "Hey, I'm gay." But like making that big of a jump, like you can't go back from that. And so for me, that's actually really helpful because it doesn't give me time to overthink it. And so kind of the same thing starting like content was like, okay, if I do this, like um, I can't go back from it. Uh, but that was actually really helpful because then I was like, okay, uh, if I'm feeling this step of courage uh, to own my sexuality again in a way that I get to control, like I get to control that narrative, then once then what once hurt me can't hurt me anymore. And so yeah, that's kind of why I started.
Did you find that when before that, like when you were talking about how the sexual assault just made you feel like sex wasn't important or wasn't something that you needed, when you were, or like, I mean, guess you probably weren't attempting to be sexual, but was there, like, did it feel unsafe at first to express your sexuality then?
It did, yeah, especially in person. And like that's where I really struggled where I I would just have like a really difficult time of even letting my body enter into like a physical space. And there would be times where like I would just like have these like physical like shaking attacks that like just it was almost like my body was just saying like, no, like you're not allowed to do this. This isn't safe. So starting to express my sexuality digitally was a way that like I could start to crack that open where there's like that safe barrier there. And so it was a nice bridge and like entry point back into sex, which I'm like really grateful for. And yeah, it started to make it more possible again.
Did you find it hard then when you were making the content, or was it pretty easy right from the beginning?
It was pretty easy from the beginning, and I think because like I've always enjoyed sexting. Like my first dabble into sex itself was like very sexting based, so that has always just been like something fun and flirty and enticing for me. And so creating content was almost like a way that I could express that digital side that I enjoyed a lot more. So and yeah, I could have fun with it, but then starting to expand on that of um, different types of videos or different types of content or eventually starting to work together with other people, those became really big leaps. And it took like um yeah, maybe like three years or so to like start making that happen. So it was a process.
Yeah, I mean, like I started making OnlyFans stuff in 2020. Yeah, this is right when the pandemic happened. But I mean, it's so funny to think about that now that I think even before then, I always wanted to make porn, but I think maybe for me, the unsafe feeling maybe that I got before then was that it's just about what people think, right? That was more so my, oh, if I put myself out there and do this and like, are people going to be judgmental and all that, and I'm sure that people are, but I don't think I really hang out with too many people that are judgy about about sex stuff. But yeah, and it's funny because I think about it now where when I make something or put something out there, I don't really, it's all very sometimes neutral. Like even when I'm going on Twitter, like we're both on Twitter, right? And so, like, do you find sometimes like when I'm scrolling and I'm like, because it's kind of work, so I kind of have to go onto it, that it's like sometimes it just, you look at it kind of in this non-erotic way, or you're almost like desensitized to seeing porn because you see so much of it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up because like I feel the same way, and it's not bad. It's just it's different, and it's an interesting thing to get used to. Like I equate it to like when I worked at a coffee shop before. Like I fucking love coffee, and even like when I was there, like I still enjoyed it, but the thrill of it just kind of changed. Like it didn't. You just get uh settled in it a little bit. And so it's interesting to notice when that's happening, and just to be aware of it, of like, oh yeah, like the things that once were really tantalizing don't have that same effect anymore, and it makes sense as to why. um, but then to try to find those ways of like stimulating that energy again, like how do you do it? Like I'm really curious for you on like when it starts to feel just very neutral, like how do you bring that energy back?
So it's I'm glad you brought that up because I sometimes find like the thing is I love sex and I love making porn and like that is for sure. The one thing though about making OnlyFans content is sometimes I feel like I'm just like making TikTok content or something. Like I'm just trying to make something to just put out content because that's what you're supposed to do as like a content creator. And that's when it takes the eroticism out for me, where I'm like, oh, I have to like I got to make a video because I haven't posted in a couple days, and then I find that when I'm forced to do it, it's the most uh unsexual, like I'm not aroused. It's because it feels like I'm like I have to do this just to make content, which I don't like. Or I just I don't enjoy as much as, making something that maybe is making content with someone else. Which I also
Mm.
find that if I shoot with another guy, sometimes it can still feel like that I'm making like TikTok content stuff that's, just has nudity and sex in it. But at the same time, what I've tried to do is if I'm shooting with someone else, my thing with it is that there's a lot of guys out there that like want have a not a system like there's a system in the way that they shoot, which is like, oh, this is how all other guys shoot OnlyFans content, which porn can sometimes be. That is like, get into this position, do this position switch and stuff and do all that. I prefer, it's like, why don't we just figure out what we both like or where we can like actually connect and have good sex, and we'll just have sex. But for me, it's like when I'm doing that with, because when I'm shooting with someone else, then that other person is going to give me an experience that is going to be something that I may have not experienced before. So it's going to create that like newness and excitement. And the fact is that like I am an exhibitionist, so I do always love, the making of content, but I want it to be a bit more authentic and real, and just being like, what do we actually really enjoy to do? And or like, what's something that we're both down to try that, maybe we haven't done before, or actually doing like role play fantasy stuff, which I enjoy in real life, but like I find it a lot more fun and creative to do with someone else and to add that into content. So
Mm.
I'm trying like to like I want it to happen more organically and naturally, because it's also not my like source of income that's paying all my bills. It's a source of income, but it's not the main thing that I need. So I'm trying to like balance between making content to like, yes, I need to make content because I need to make money, but also balancing it between, I don't want to just though be putting stuff out there that like I didn't even enjoy making, or I didn't feel comfortable with the person I was shooting with, or just feeling like I totally made that because I just needed to and I don't even feel good about it. I want to be like,
Mm.
okay, actually this person I don't think we're jiving well with, so like I don't want to shoot with you. So I'll say no to the things that I'm not comfortable with, and I won't just do it just because I need content. Does that make sense?
Percent. Yeah. And like, did it take you time to learn that? Like to learn the what you like, what you didn't like, what works, what doesn't work, like how you like navigating through it. Like, has that been a process over a span of time, like to figure that out?
Oh yeah. It's funny because, like, from that moment in 2020 when I started it, it's changed. And because, like, when I started to, like, especially shoot with other guys, it was always this thing of, like, well, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. So I'll just collab with these guys. And then I was like, I'm not having that great of experiences, not with everybody. And I didn't shoot with a lot of people at the beginning. But I was like, I'm not really enjoying this. It just doesn't feel like there's a lot of eroticism or like excitement that's in these shoots. So I kind of just was like, nah, I don't want to do that because, again, it wasn't my main source of income. And so I didn't. And then I've tried this past year of kind of going a bit more full force into it. I mean, still like balancing things, but being like more open to just like shooting something. Or like before, I used to be, we should make like have an intention for the shoot, and it should be like maybe a bit more artsy or creative, and like just putting a lot of things on it that I was like, it has to be all this because this is the type of porn I like. Whereas, like, you know what? I'm actually just really good at porn and having sex with someone in front of a camera. Like, that's just a skill that I have that I've been able to do. And so I was like, why don't you just start doing it and just do it a little bit more to put yourself out there more and be more sexual? I want to have more sex. So all of that stuff coming into it was like, okay, like maybe like let go a little bit about the expectations of what you feel like it should be and just explore and do things in what I feel comfortable with doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been the same way where the evolution of like where I started to where it is now has been just so fascinating for me to even feel like to to think of the initial approach that I wanted to take and like, okay, why am I doing this? What's the aside from myself and that personal healing piece, like because once that kind of wraps up, like then it's like, oh, this is it's shifted now. Like it's now shifted into something different. And so I started to explore that of like, yeah, like what's kind of my lane or like what do I want to say here with the content that I create, knowing that so many other people are also doing it and creating like really amazing things too. Is that like what's my specific story or lens? I just started to find for me that like the weaving in of the mindfulness piece, like the authenticity, just being as real and honest and genuine as possible, really landed with a lot of people, but it was also just a reflection of my inner story too. And so I was like, okay, like there's something here. And like it's so interesting just zooming out too, because it's also a business. It's work, but it's so personal. But then we're interacting and having genuine connections with people. And it's also something that's like a reflection of us. It's creative. And so like it holds so many different containers that like it's tricky to balance all of them. And like there are absolutely times where I feel like I'm kind of flowing down this like really windy river where at some points like yeah, I feel like I might go for a few weeks and kind of lose my intention and be like, oh shit, I'm doing this because I want to get more subscribers or because I want to make a bigger impact, but then what I'm putting out there isn't very genuine. So let me come back home to why I'm doing this in the first place. And like I ebb and flow and just kind of move through it. And so it's interesting to see that, just to see how we can get pulled into those different directions, but then like how we can recalibrate it back to like, okay, why am I doing this again? And like, oh yeah, it's for this reason. And it's because of this.
Hmm. Yeah, I see. It's interesting because I also like I guess a sex coach for myself working with men. There was a period, probably, I mean, I guess before this past year, where I was like, the making porn thing was like, um, I was really worried about how like clients would see me or people that were like potential clients, and I thought, oh, I don't know if this is going to really trigger a lot of guys and make them feel uncomfortable with working with me. So I really started like tone myself down. And I actually worked on a retreat last year, and one of the guys on there that does similar work, more tantra stuff, but he does similar work with gay men. And he said, there was a time where he felt like all his sexuality was going towards his clients. And I think that was for me what I was realizing is that like for porn for me, sure, I would always be down to make porn that is authentic and about pleasure and is educational or whatever the word is, ethical porn. I'm always,
Mhm.
that's what I want to make. But my intention of making porn is for myself. I'm like, I get turned on, I get aroused, I enjoy it, I enjoy the process of it. I like performing. Like a lot of it was for myself. So part of like me like dimming all that down was that so that I could make other people feel more comfortable to work for me. And I was like, wait a minute, though, I'm now being a little bit inauthentic and not
Mm.
being myself. And I think it comes from also feeling like I need to like explain myself. Like I always feel like, especially if people find out I make porn, other gay men, if they find out I make porn, I'm always like, oh, they might have assumptions about who I am or the type of person that I am. And they also might not connect, somatic yoga, sex coach, intimacy with porn sometimes, right? Like it feels like porn sometimes, especially gay porn, can be this hyper masculine, not a lot of affection and tenderness and all this other stuff that I do with clients. But I was like, that is what I'm trying to do in that space as well. But I also want people to understand that it's like I guess what I realized, it was like, I don't need to explain this to every single person. I need to do this for myself. Uh, and let go of that a bit. And maybe let people see, other guys see that I was like, this is kind of stepping into your power, into my power. Not that everyone needs to do porn, but for me, this is how I step into my power. And I hope that it is at least inspiring to some people to see how, like, just embracing your sexuality in such an open way is okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I view it really similarly where I now, blending the worlds together of, the coaching side and the content side. For me, creating content now is acting as like a role model of what sexual empowerment can look like. Like, and to almost serve as this like permission slip for clients or for someone else who might see some version of their self within myself. If that can help them to connect, then amazing. That's what I want at the end of the day. And also I know that, like, I'm just one person, and I can only show my story and my authenticity, like who I am in the process. And what I've just learned is that the more that I do that and just be as Kevin as possible, um, and then kind of letting go of however it lands with people, they'll take out of it what they need or what they want, whether they align with it or like, hey, like I really like this video, or if it's like a lot of like negative criticism or feedback, which happens, sometimes. Then that's then what that served its purpose. Then, like, showed somebody something that they needed, and they responded however they responded, and um that's their opportunity to explore for them. Like
Is that,
it took
do
me
you
a
just mean, do you
okay.
just mean like random people on the internet just making comments, the negative
Yeah,
critiques?
yeah,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, like they and even I think a lot of it's in my head though too. Like I definitely do get negative comments and negative feedback, and I think like sometimes just I can ruminate on that. Like I can just really start to overthink and overemphasize those messages as opposed to all of the positive that's out there. And so like it just hits back on my shame and it kind of brings that back up again. But then that me talking about it, an example that can show somebody like how they can work through it, and that it's okay to feel this way, like to not be totally in love with ourselves all the time. You know what I mean? Like it creates a interesting opportunity to role model that out of like, here's one way of working through something like this.
I mean, I would say to those people that get triggered by other people expressing their sexuality, to get curious about what that is. Because I think
Mhm.
about this all the time, that like the thing with sexuality is, and the reason why it is so important to face yourself and whatever shadows you have and shame and stuff with your sexuality, is because it's always going to be there and it's always going to be triggering you with other people. And the thing is, even if you're asexual or aromantic, like the thing is, if you come to terms with that and you're okay with that, you'll be able to at least be like, oh yeah, lots of people are really hypersexual, but that's okay. It just doesn't do anything for me. And you'll be able to like sit in that ease of it. But I think so many
Mhm.
people get into this like, especially gay men, I'll judge you, or like I'll try to like, that makes me feel uncomfortable because I don't even feel comfortable in my body, or I don't feel comfortable with my sexuality. So I'll judge you instead of like, okay, well, maybe I need to sit with this for a second and be like, what is it inside of me that's creating all this tension with what I'm seeing? Like it took me like, I think even when I think about myself, like I wasn't always this way, like this open with my sexuality. I always was into sex. I was always a Madonna and Britney fan when I was a kid. I always knew that sex for some reason was like my thing. So that's for sure. But I didn't start like exploring it really until I was like 30 in an intentional conscious aware way. Like I was having a lot of sex in my 20s, but it was like a lot of drunken hookups and bad hookups, and like just it was just messy. And I wasn't really like paying attention to what I wasn't exploring things. I wasn't trying new things. I was just like finding grinder hookups. So, but it wasn't until I was about 30 that I was like exploring myself, and I was feeling really content with my life and working on myself. And I remember the first thing my therapist had told me, she was like, go do something for yourself this week. And she also told me, like, find your edge, find the thing that excites you. And I was like, oh, sex excites me. And
Okay.
so she was like, do something this week, like this week. And so she was very big on like, do something that you know you can do. So don't set these huge goals, set these like small goals. And so for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to a sex store and buy a toy. Like that is just putting myself into a space of sex that I want to be in, but something I know I can easily accomplish. You can go buy a toy for yourself. That easy. And so that I remember was the first thing I did that week. And somehow by doing that, and like I started taking dance classes, I did burlesque, and now like I've done porn, and I've done like studio porn too, and I'm a sex coach, all these things that it was like, oh my God, it took that like small moment of like not even realizing it would turn into all of this. But it just took that small step of like, I'm going to start stepping into this and get curious about it. So I think I always try to put myself into the shoes of people that really struggle with sex, sexuality, and be like, I was that person at one point too. And so I understand what it's like to be afraid of stepping into this. Like I wouldn't have been able to, when my therapist said that, I wouldn't have been able to be like, oh, okay, well, I'll make a porn and start an OnlyFans. Like I wouldn't have done that week. Like I was still pretty far away from that, right? So it's kind of like, okay, well, how can I like step into dip my toes into sexuality and intimacy and or whatever, even with just yourself, and figure out like what is all this stuff coming up that feels so uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you think back and you start to think of like some of those bigger steps that started to happen along the way, like how did you know that you had the courage to follow that lead, if that makes sense?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So the reason why I think I've been always able to take these steps is because I trusted myself and that I knew I really wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And for like, the content creation, like if you're an OnlyFans creator, like, you mentioned before, like for some people, it is literally just work. Like it's a job and people are just pumping out content, and that's totally fine. Like they're doing it to make money, and that is a totally legit reason to do sex work, to make porn. I think for myself, I was aware that I was like, oh, there's something in this that makes me feel really alive and excited. Like it's not, I'm in a place where like I really need money. So OnlyFans, or I'm in a place of like I could have a lot of followers if I started like a on alt Twitter. It wasn't any of that about, it was more so, oh, there's something when I do sexual performance stuff, it makes me feel really alive and excited, and it's my eroticism. So I always knew that I trusted my intuition, that I was like, this is something that I need to do for myself. And I always say like do you know the porn site Himros?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I saw that you did some work there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always say, and this is another reason of why I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, is that when I did that first shoot with Himeros, first of all, it was my first time ever doing a studio shoot. The only reason why I wanted to do it with him or Rose because I was like, I love their content. I love their messaging. I love how it's like ethical porn. It's all about pleasure and connection. And so I knew I was in like a space I wanted to be in, but I didn't know I was like, yeah, but I've never made porn with like a whole film crew watching me. So it was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do. The first day I did it, I was like, I am so at ease. I was doing like even the director said because it got brought up when we were shooting the scene that I was like, this is my first time ever shooting a studio scene, and they were like, this is your first time? Wow, you're doing amazing. And I was like, I don't like it. Just my body was like, this is where you're supposed to be. Like I've taught yoga classes that made me more nervous. And I was like, wow, shooting porn for some reason is something where like everything lines up and my body's like, wow, no anxiety.
Well,
And I mean, I was like a little bit nervous, but I think it was more excitement stuff. And so all of that stuff tells me that I was like, oh, yeah, this is what you should be doing. Somehow all of this stuff is like a big part of who you are. So when I'm in that space, it just felt like home.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Like you could just get quiet and could just trust. It's almost hard to explain because it was just like this is just where you know you need to go. Like you could just feel that energy behind it and like, yeah, this is it. And like I'm just so myself in this moment that I know this is exactly where I need to be.
Yeah, and I think that like that's my thing about stepping into my sexuality, and even in the way I'm doing it right now in a big way is I'm making, I don't know if you saw on Instagram, I'm making these little dancing videos. But a part of that is like, part of that is my performing in eroticism, but there's always still this like, I feel like I'm putting myself out there too much, and I get this like, I can feel uncomfortable about it and feel like, oh, people are going to be like, he's so full of himself, or like all these thoughts will go into my head about how I think people perceive me, which makes me uncomfortable. But I always remind myself that I'm like, this is like, I'm doing this, yes, for myself, but it's not to be like, I need love. It's more so like, well, maybe it is kind of, but in a way, it's like me performing and like stepping into myself and being like, I'm not too much. This is okay. And this is a part of my sexuality too, is my dancing. And I hope
Mm,
people see me like, I hope people look at me and go, "Oh wow, that guy looks like he's really comfortable in his own skin." That's like
mm,
what I hope people see from it, whether it's like a dancing video or me having sex. Uh,
mm,
I hope that that's what I try to put out there, and so I hope that's why it goes back to like I don't feel like I need to defend and be like, "Oh, but I'm not full of myself. I'm not doing this for egotistical reasons. I'm doing this for like to show people what freedom in your body looks like." But I think I have to remember, like, that is my intention of doing it. So, like, don't even worry about explaining it because the intention of why you're doing it, that'll come off as it is, right? Just do it. Just show up as yourself. And I think people will get that for the most part, I hope.
yeah, yeah. I'm so glad that you said that. Like this has been one of the biggest things I've been like struggling with lately is just like that worry, that fear of like being too much slash like too frequent. Like that's like
Mm.
the wording that's kind of in my head of like not only am I like I'm posting too much, I'm sharing too much, but like I'm sharing too frequently. Like I'm annoying people, like I'm being too loud. And like I
Yeah.
really have been like having such a hard time with that. I've and I know exactly why. Over the summer, in in getting more aligned with myself, like I've just consolidated all of my worlds down, and so this is so specific, but it was actually been a huge challenge for me. But so I took my personal Instagram account and then my coaching one. I just put them together. Like I just
Hmm.
moved down to one because
Yeah.
like it was just tough living like segmented lives and like it didn't feel authentic. And I was like, if I'm going to be a role model for people, like I need to fully own it. And then when I did that, I was like, oh, like, okay, yeah, I can see how this is going to be hard. But no, it's actually been so much more difficult than I thought. And like, um, because like my work isn't for everybody, and I totally get that. It's not meant to be for everyone. And also, like, the work is such a reflection of myself that it's just a part of who I am. And so, like, I go to post, even just on social media, like, not necessarily even content related, but I've been doing like similar dancing videos just because they make me feel good. They're just fun. Like, I just
Mm. Yeah.
joy. Um, whether it's that or whether it is something more coaching related or something more spicy, whatever it is, like I just um start going in my head of like nobody cares, like this isn't important, yeah, like whenever I feel that, like I just start to slow back down, and then I go back to like, okay, well, why am I doing this in the first place? And then like I have this kind of spiritual moment that happens where when I reflect back in on it, I know that why I'm sharing this, why I'm posting this is, because I have something to say that I believe can be helpful to somebody else, that like I believe like I that just needs to be said, and I'm just the channel that like has the opportunity and the privilege, the permission to say it. So I kind of feel like it's my duty to do so. If I'm in that headspace, and if it's like, yeah, like I really want to talk about this thing because like I know this could help somebody in this way, then whether I'm posting several times a day or multiple times or what I feel like will be too much, like that helps to kind of ground me through it. But then I know that that's then a genuine reflection of me and myself, because like I just get excited. Like there's so many things that I love talking about and I love like helping people with. And like that's my favorite thing in the world, is just to do that.
Mhm.
So like to kind of quiet that in a way, if I want to look at it, like can be like an act of disrespect of my own self. And so the more that I just like run with that energy that's there, whether I'm posting 8 times a day and then not posting for 2 more weeks, like whatever that's like if that energy is here, allow it to be here is kind of what I'm stepping into. But it's tough. It's tough when that inner saboteur side kicks in and wants us to
Yeah.
keep us quiet.
I'll say, yeah, it's to all of that. I'll say that one thing that also, because I have the same thing where I'm like, oh, I'm being too much. People are gonna get annoyed at me. Like, oh my god, I posted again today. Like, they're gonna be like, I'm gonna unfollow him because like he's just too annoying. So like all that stuff comes in my head, and I'll be like, oh, I won't repost this picture of me because like I posted something today. It's gonna make me look like I'm full of myself. All that stuff comes into it. But then I also have to remember, like for both of us, this is also part of our job where we need to make money. So like we kind of
Yeah.
have to. And so like part of it is like I would rather not post myself every day when I don't want to, but I need to make money. So like part of it is
Right.
like nothing even about like ego. It's about like this is my job. And a big part of it is like I have to pump out fucking content. So
Yeah.
I do find that with Twitter, it's like because so many people on like my Twitter is all porn and other content creators, and so like a lot of the guys I don't even know. So it feels really like like this thing, oh, throw out like a dick pic on Twitter, and like I don't even think it because it's just like it just doesn't matter. It just feels like a sea of dick and ass and all fucking and all this stuff. So it like doesn't really feel like it makes an impact in the way that on Instagram, if I'm because I'm the same where like I don't really my account is my personal account slash work account, but I don't really post a lot of like if I'm out with friends or something, I don't feel like I need to be like, I'll post this, I'll post this. Instagram for me is like, I do want to watch people making entertaining content or stuff that I'm learning from, or beautiful photos and stuff like that. So that's how I see it. So when I'm doing it, I get all the same feelings that you do. But for me, it's not this thing of like, oh, but I hope someone sees it and it helps them. For me right now, it's really a thing of like, I'll post something and I'll be like, not as many people liked it, or like I start to see what my thoughts about how the expectations of how people perceive it is now muddying up my intention of doing it, which is like I want to put myself out there fully 100% myself. And like the dancing thing also is I dance every day. I get up every morning at like 5 a.m. now and like dance for like 2 hours and drink my
Crazy.
coffee. And so like that is me every day. I dance every day. So like when people see me dancing, like that is like kind of almost the purest form of myself. And so when I put that out, I feel like that is me. And if people don't like it, or if I didn't get a full response and I start going into, oh, well, people didn't like that, maybe I should take it down. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. The intention for me is to put myself out there and be okay with if people like it or not. And there's a thing of like what I was doing before where it was like, I'll only post like once in a while so that I'm not too much for people. And when the video comes out, it's like really special that it gets to see me dancing. But it was like, but this is me every fucking day. And if someone doesn't like that me posting this twice a week of me dancing, then like I don't really want to. Then you're not for me. And I hope that what I'm doing is attracting people to see like, hey, that energy I love. That's like really beautiful, wonderful energy or whatever. And like, that's really cool. And hopefully attracting more of what I am because I want to be more, I want to be around more people that are free in their body and are not so, that are not bothered by me or triggered by, or well, they can be triggered by me, but like that don't judge me or like put their shame and all their bullshit on me because I'm feeling free in my body.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. I love it. Yeah, and like uh, uh, that's such a beautiful way of looking at it of like again when we are as us as possible, like, however somebody responds to that, like that's their freedom, that's their choice. And also we then have the opportunity to then gravitate the people toward us that do align, that do want to see us dancing because they see themselves dancing, and that's a permission, that's a freedom for them. Like, yeah, like the energy behind it is so fascinating. Where no matter how it lands, it's going to land in the way that's needed. It's going
Mm.
to, people are going to step away if it's not for them, which then is going to open the door for the people that it is. And like, it's all going to work out, which is really cool. And it's going to help pay the bills, which is so real,
Mhm.
so necessary. And like, it's on the other side of my wall, but like, I have this quote on my whiteboard, and it's something along the lines of like, if I'm not loud about it, then I'm preventing somebody from connecting with it, or something like that, where like
Yeah.
essentially like if I don't like if it's not shared, like it's not going to help. And so even if I just
Hmm.
want to help one person, or on a financial side, like connect with one more client, like they have to know who I am. They have to connect with something inside of me. And like I have to be connected within that as well. So like it's my responsibility to be annoying by sharing so many things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's a difference between like even when we say that's like about being too loud or being loud in yourself, like it's like what I said about how like I dance every day, so like I'm kind of just posting myself every day. So I'm like, I don't even think that's loud. That's just my normal. Like so I think there's a difference between being too loud. Or not I don't say it because there's nothing wrong with anything that people do for posting stuff of themselves. But I think that maybe the intention, the difference is like coming from an authentic place of like whatever that like if the authentic place is I do this to make money, that's totally fine. If the authentic place is I do this to express my own sexuality, that's totally fine too. And even if the thing is I'm being really loud so people notice me because I need them to love me, that's okay too. But I think that a lot of people who are doing that don't recognize that that's what they're doing. And so maybe seeing that like, oh, I'm being really loud because I'm trying to get attention because I just want people to notice me, and that's okay. Like, there's no shame with that. But I think that there is a difference when you can start to be like, I don't have to be over the top to get people to like me. I can just be myself. And I think sometimes when it comes to like sex, in just normal sex, not making porn and all that stuff, is that I think a lot of guys feel like they have to be more than they have to have the perfect body. They got to be the perfect fucked, be hard the whole time. All that kind of stuff comes into it. Whereas, like, you don't have to be that big to be like accepted and loved. You can be you and find out what that is. And maybe your authentic sexuality is making porn like it is for me and for you. But maybe it's more so like I'm not into that. And I actually am more of a monogamous person, and that's me. And that's fine too. So it's kind of finding where it's like, it's not too loud. It's just about like being yourself, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. And like as you say that, it just has kind of like existential thought of like it's so funny to me. It's just interesting to see that like anything that we are ever working on is always about that. It's always just about being more us. Like whether
Mhm.
whether we're healing from something, or whether it's therapy, or it's coaching, or if it's, sex related or business related, like whatever it is, but like it always just trickles back down to like the thing we need to do is just to be more of ourself. And it's so simple sounding, but it's so fucking hard in like actuality and in like practical practice. But it's so liberating too, that yeah, like when the best sex I ever have are those times where we're just showing up in that moment. We know that we can be safe with each other. That's really it. Like we're just seeing like, okay, in this particular minute, like what feels good to you, and it might completely blow our minds as to like, oh, like I didn't think we'd go down this path, but this is where we went. And this is so genuine to both of ourselves right now. And my body is responding this way, or it's not responding this way, but fuck it. Like this is so real. And this is where we're at. Like the more we can spend time in the area, there's nothing better than that. Like that's what it means to be here and to be human and
Hmm.
to be so aligned with ourselves. It's powerful.
Yeah, and it takes practice, right? Like to like, right, like that's the hard. Like even what I said about making these dancing videos, it kind of like it is a little bit hard. And so being able to be that person who shows up to sex or whatever with someone and is like, ooh, this is going somewhere else because my body's doing something different than I expected or whatever, and being able to be okay with that, like it is hard. But hopefully you're around people or you're with someone who can like be caring and compassionate for you in that moment as yourself.
Hmm.
But it's a risk. Like going back to the dancing thing is like, that's the thing. What I recognized, it was like, okay, like stepping into myself isn't easy. It's not like I'm just myself and now everyone loves me. And like everything's working out. It's like, no, I'm stepping into myself and being myself. And I do notice a little bit of pushback or like resistance from some people. But like, that's okay because like the reason why I didn't do it was because I didn't want to feel that risk and that possible hurt or rejection or whatever might come up. But like, I've just kind of come to this place right now where I realized I have to be myself because I was trying to be comfortable for everyone and I still felt like I was like not making friends or finding like I was like that wasn't working either. That wasn't really helping me and I still felt alone. I still was alone. So now it's kind of like fuck it. I'm fully going to be myself, especially with this like content stuff and fuck it because like I if you don't like it then that's okay because I feel like I've just kind of it just wasn't working what I was doing before, so this has felt more liberating in myself to know that like hey, I'll be okay. I want to do these things for myself because they make me feel good, and whatever people think about that is fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Percent. Yeah. Yeah. And like I view it so much as like a friendship with my own self where it's walking and it's balancing all of these areas, whether it's posting on social media or creating content or going to have sex with somebody, whether it's somebody I absolutely love or if it's a hookup, like no matter what it is, like I just kind of hold myself and like check in with that. The higher version of myself checks in with the human version. And yeah, it knows that like, okay, even though you're going to be sharing this experience with somebody, like at the end of the day, like you're going to come back home and you're just going to be like, when you fall asleep, you are falling asleep just in your own brain and your own body. Like this is your independent experience. And like, how can I take care of you then, now, And so even with sex with people that I adore and I feel so safe with, I still prep mentally ahead of time of like, okay, like be here, be present now, just enjoy it. But then also know that there's going to come a time where he's going to leave and you're going to be here by yourself and you're going to feel lonely and you're going to miss that connection isn't here. And that's okay. Like that's coming up, but like it's going to be all right. And so like I already do like that caretaking ahead of time. And then even with posting, like I'll do that same thing too of like, okay, like this is something that's really important to me that I want to say. And who cares how it lands? Like, is this what you felt was needed and necessary? And if so, then like, okay, perfect. Share it and then let's move on. Let's move to the next thing. And so like for me, that has been super, super helpful as somebody who struggles with depression and loneliness and like, yeah, kind of honoring that self relationship has been like a big key in
Hmm.
all the paths here.
Can I ask, is that a normal regular thing where you do feel triggered when you hook up with someone and when they leave and like being alone, or
I
can you talk a little bit more about that?
yeah. It comes and goes for sure. And I think like the more sex that I have, the older that I get, the more comfortable I feel with loneliness because like the hardest times that I've had with loneliness like have been, high school times, just like incredibly painful and like difficult experiences, like being on a farm in a rural area where like literally no other gay people were around, or I had no community, like nobody to talk to about it. And so like if I can get through that, like I can get through this. But this is also still hard, and I want to like acknowledge that. But every experience now like tends to be different. Sometimes I'll have hookups and I'll have sex and I can move right on from it. And I'm like this was a fucking great part of my day. And now I got to do these things for work, or like now I got to go
Yeah.
shopping or whatever that is. And then there's times where it just kind of surprises me where it's like, oh shit, I feel like really heavy, or, I just feel really empty, like, or I feel like so disconnected from myself. And I just kind of now allow that to be what it is. And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I know this isn't going to derail me. Like at some point, like it will get better. Like I'll work through this hopefully today, like hopefully soon. But this might linger for a few days. This might be here for a while, but the sun's going to shine again until there will be the next time that I laugh. There will be the next time that I get to hang out with somebody who makes me feel really good. Like that's coming up. And so I can get through this crappy part of it. But also, what can I learn now? What is this teaching me? Like I always think about that though too. And so like if there is a hookup that I just feel so awful afterward, or like super hollow. And I'm like, okay, like what was it about this particular instance? Maybe it just wasn't the right time. Maybe I did it because I was lonely, or maybe the connection with that person like wasn't a good fit. But yeah, I think like there's that overarching message of like just getting curious there as to why the loneliness might be present, and then also like just kind of befriending it has gotten to be really helpful.
Hmm. Yeah. I think, yeah, I definitely have had a thing this summer where I felt like because I struggle with loneliness a lot too. But I have been okay with being alone now, like physically alone, like not like actually just not around other people at the moment. Because again, it was one of those things that I like to like being with myself, and like this practice that I'm doing of being more fully out there and vulnerable with myself is also like learning to be like I actually really enjoy spending time with myself. And if the option is go hang out with people that like maybe you'll connect with but probably not, or like it's just going to be shallow superficial conversation, which is not my thing, that if it's going to be that, I'd rather just like be with myself and watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And actually that was my summer. That was my summer, was like, wow, I actually like don't want to go out and do things with people because I'm just like in the space where I want depth, I want intimacy, and actually I can get that with myself. I can actually sit with myself and cry by myself. I can have fun by myself, and I know we need people, and I'm like practicing also trying to like socialize and do things with other people, but it just feels almost like very blissful to just be with myself and be okay with everything that I am. But that's taking a lot of work and taking a lot of like relationships that taught me about that, and breakups. And so like it took a long time to like even get to this place. And, I also am aware that maybe I won't be able to hang on to this feeling of ease in my body. But for now, I'm like, yeah, I just really like being with myself.
Yeah. 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 I feel the same way, where like I can just have fun. I know how to have fun. I know how to like just enjoy my own company. But that's a skill that like, yeah, it takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot of experiences to learn how to do that. And I also know too that like I can, because I'm so comfortable there, I can prevent connection from happening. So it's like it's um such a tricky balance and kind of like a tightrope to walk. Like a really good example, there was a meeting that I was asked to go to last night. And I just all day, like I really didn't want to go. Like it felt more like an obligation. I was like, I could just pull out of this. I don't have to be here. But then I was like, no, like, you're feeling lonely. And also like they need your help. So like go to it. And so I did. I just had like such a great time. And uh when I left, I was just like, it feels good to be around people, even like new people, getting to learn new people. And so like reflecting back on that, like I think for me it's been really helpful to learn that like it's unhealthy for me to rely on people, but it's really healthy for me to choose to spend time with them, if that makes sense. Like, because if I rely on somebody, that sounds kind of dark, I guess, but like if I rely on somebody, then like I feel like I'm giving all of my emotions to somebody else, and so like there's times where I've been really hurt by that before, or like just felt completely lost or really lonely. If somebody else is like holding, but like, I get to choose that, so I can choose to spend time with myself or where I'm putting that energy, but I can also choose to spend it really intentionally with. Uh, in those spaces that feel good. And sometimes I need to push myself there to because I know I can enjoy my own company, but also like and try something new too. Kind of expand a little bit. So yeah, balancing that all out is tough. Yeah, it's hard, but it's powerful.
Yeah. Um, so I have one more question for you. What are you most excited for in your life right now?
Ooh, 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 ooh. There's a lot I'm excited about. I'm excited for owning where I'm at, and getting more loud about it. Uh, and so one of the things that uh, therapist and coach she's been helping me with for like the past 2-3 years is like just getting proud of like who you are, um, and uh like that practice has been really interesting, and the way that I've like really just adopted that is um it's like, yeah, like I know what I enjoy and I know what I do, and I can see the impact that that has, and I just want to keep making a bigger impact. I want to help more people, and so I want to own where I'm at, not from a space of arrogance, but just from a space of like, this is why I'm here, and I want to shine that light out. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to keep going into that area. Can I ask for you? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, totally. But I will say to that about what you said, even about arrogance or whatever, it's like, also, I mean, you are doing good work. And I think anything that like people like us that do this type of work, it's like, I think we all should be proud of the fact that, we're not just doing this for ourselves at this, we're doing this for other people. And because we feel like there's a need for, people to have intimacy and feel better about themselves. So, yeah, you should be proud of yourself. It's not arrogant at all to be like proud of doing good work that is actually like, really helpful and important for people.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Um, but what I'm most excited it's funny because I was doing a run group last night and this guy asked me that what am I excited for right now? And I said that I am most excited for actually not knowing what is coming next. I'm in a place of that is very recent of like the summer, as I keep bringing up, but like I'm feeling really content with myself, which is making me very open. And I'm just in this space where I'm like, okay, I understand. All I have to do right now is be present. Like
Okay.
I made a goal for this month. One was no drinking, which I've been keeping up with, which is good and it changes the way that I feel. But I was like, you have one job this month. Just be present and still and don't drink. And I have done that. And it's really made me realize that I was like, okay, because I've made the goal just to be present. I have no idea what is like going to happen next month or what's going to happen with my work or life or relationships because I'm also not trying to like pursue anything. I'm really excited just to see what crazy shenanigans come up in the next little while and being like, I'm okay with now, what is happening now, and I'm actually present. I'm not in an anxious mind for the last few weeks. So I'm just excited for what is going to happen because it's unknown and that's kind of exciting.
Wow, that's so exciting. Yeah, like it's an adventure. There's an adventure that's not only here now, but it's on its way. And like it's such a fun frame of mind to hold of like, I'm excited to learn what this next thing will be for me or where I'm going. Like I'm so curious as to what that'll be. And like just like staying open to that is it's transformative. I'm so excited for you. That's awesome.
This is what, and I don't know if you find this, but this is the thing that I've learned, like in my experience of when over 10 years ago now, when I started doing yoga, that all of this stuff, I've realized that like the only job that I really have to do which is hard to do, is to be present and stay grounded, and everything else will be okay. But
Yeah.
like just like you, like I struggle with anxiety, depression, addiction issues, all that stuff. When that comes in, everything feels like it's not working out, but it's because I'm not grounded. I'm in this, one of the things about not drinking this month was like, oh, I don't have that voice in my head being like, oh, should you drink tonight? Should you go out drinking? It's like it's not there. So I'm like, because I'm not doing that, it's easier to stay grounded and present and allow just things to happen. But it's really hard. Like I have not been in this space since like 2019. So it's not an easy thing to do, but it's the thing that I've learned that like, right, if you can just find a way to find ease in your body and know that you're okay right now, everything will be fine. And that's
Mhm.
talking from a place of privilege and saying that like, I have the privilege of I have a home to live in and I make enough money to survive and all that stuff. But I do know that it's like, yes, try to stay as grounded as possible and things just kind of go the way that they will. And you're able to just go on that ride a little bit easier.
Mhm. Yeah, 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 absolutely. The the universe just always works out, and like we can take a look back and see that it's worked out this entire time too. So it's going to work out this week and this month and next month. And yeah, like just the ability to okay, exhale, like put our feet on the ground, like take that step back and be like, there's nothing like you said, there's nothing I need to do other than to just be here and it'll happen. Like it's so freeing and liberating to think about and kind of wild at the same time. But the more that, yeah, we can just recalibrate that every day and kind of, even throughout the day, like, um, it's incredible to see what gets opened up there. And I'm excited for what you've already have had open up and for what will be here for you too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. Well, thank you for doing this. This was
Thank
awesome
you.
to
This
chat with
was
you
so
again.
fun. Yeah, yeah. It was so
Yeah.
good to chat with you too.